Welcome to Hot Topics in International Trade, brought to you by Braumiller Law Group and Braumiller Consulting Group. Hi, this is Bob Brewer with Braumiller Law Group, Braumiller Consulting Group. Welcome to the podcast. With me, once again, James Holbein, our counsel out in Washington, D.C., as you know him by now, our blockchain Web 3.0 crypto guru. And so this is something a little outside of that we're going to talk about this morning, which, quite frankly, I had no idea was even in existence, and I'm sure a lot of you out there also had no idea. But it's this beneficial ownership information. This, as we like our acronyms, we call it the BOI. But this is something identifying information about individuals who directly or indirectly own or control the company. And we've all got to pretty much be cognizant that we have to register for this, Jim. Now, this goes back to in 2021, Congress passed the Corporate Transparency Act on a bipartisan basis now. So the law creates a new beneficial ownership information reporting requirement that I want you to talk about, because other thing that I read in my study time is if you don't do this, and I think it's by January 1st of 2025, you're going to be fined $500 per day. I read that. Am I correct, or is somebody just making this up?
Yes, sir. That's
oh
right.
My God. So, hey, kids, if you don't want to be fined $500 a day, I'm glad Jim's bringing this up now so we can all kind of shake the people there. Hey, it's not that complicated, right? But we still have to get the government the information that they need. So give us the lowdown on that, Jim.
Okay, well, FinCEN is an office within the U.S. Treasury. They're responsible for helping Treasury to monitor what's going on in the banking system, monitor what's going on in the business community. And one of its huge goals is counterterrorism and anti-money laundering. Okay.
So Financial Crimes Enforcement Act, FinCEN, F-I-N and then C-E-N. So just wanted to throw that out there. Go ahead.
No, appreciate it. Hey, listen, we're working together here, Bob. We got to get
all
it right.
These acronyms, man. What the heck's that acronym stand for? So I got to throw it in once in a while. Go ahead.
Fair enough. And so what their responsibility is for every bank account or company entity that is doing business in the United States that's registered with a state authority in other words, to incorporate, basically. If you're an LLC, for example, I have LLCs. I've set up LLCs in about 10 different states. You can set up Delaware, where you have to, lots of companies like to set up C corporations for stock ownership, or a lot of other states are pretty big on S corps, which are pass-through corporations, or LLCs, which are limited liability for smaller outfits. I've got several LLCs, and I have one that I use regularly of my own. And so LLCs are important. And if you've registered that with a state authority, typically the state Secretary of State, then you fall under the purview. You fall under the ambit of this act. That means you have to file. And what do you have to file? It's a simple filing. You can do it through FinCEN. There's a form online.
Right, I saw that.
And you have to report your legal name of the company as it's registered with the state, any doing business as companies, trade names, the current street address of your principal place of business of the company in the United States, the jurisdiction of its formation, so they can go back to the state and be able to track and find the registration, and then your taxpayer ID number, which is your federal number you get from the IRS for any company that has employees, basically. If you have an employee, you must have a tax ID number. So most companies have. That's not a big deal. If you do not, if you're a sole proprietorship, like one of my LLCs is a sole proprietor, I'm the only member, I'm the only part of it. I then would typically report that on my taxes as a Schedule C income, and I would report my Social Security number as my tax ID number. A lot of smaller companies will need to do it that way rather than the tax ID number. Also, you may have to indicate whether it's an initial report, a correction, or an update prior report. And a lot of this, it's not particularly onerous or information that shouldn't be out in the it's out in the public. Most of this information in the state where you register. This is stuff you typically have on file already. So this isn't a new bunch of information, but it's centralizing it at a federal level to make tracking of things a lot better. Okay, so that's
all right. So it's going to be filed within 30 days if you get a notice to file.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, actually, no, it's got to be,
No.
let me give you the reporting requirements. If your company was formed, for companies created or registered before January 1, 2024, the initial report must be submitted by January 1, 2025. So you've still got a couple of months to take care of it.
Right.
Simple. It's a 10-minute thing. Somebody in the company can just take care of it.
Yeah, we need it. This isn't a lot of information out there that they need. But so as people think about this, here we go. Like, here's the question then. Who can actually access this information?
Yeah, this is, well,
okay,
that's a big deal.
Yeah. So who can access this? I mean, FinCEN says they may permit access to benefits to state, local, tribal law enforcement. Take it from there, Jim. But,
well, it's
additional exposure.
There's the state authorities can look at it with a court authorization. You need a court order. In order to access from state level for law enforcement. Second, officials at the Department of the Treasury, of course, can do it because that's their job. That enables them to aggregate this and then run. I'm sure they're running AI on it, doing a lot of things so that they can pull up reports on who's doing what as they need it. As they get a suspicious activity, pop up who is the company that's doing that, and it just gives them a database to research from to be able to make a identification of suspicious activity sooner and identify who's involved in it quicker so that they can resolve it and get it over with. That's the way I see it. They also can provide this to foreign law enforcement agencies, but they also need submit a request to the federal agency, and they have to have some purpose for that. They got to have authorized activities related to national security. So Interpol, for example, could query Treasury about it if they're looking into a suspicious activity of a company out of Syria, just to throw up something that would actually look funny to them and they'd be looking at. And then FinCEN would almost certainly cooperate with them based on the facts of whatever it is that they're looking for. And the company would never know. That would all be done behind the scenes. Intelligence law enforcement activities at the federal level can also access this information. Financial institutions can also take a look at this because it falls right within the ambit of the Bank Secrecy Act, which allows for know your customer and any money laundering regulation anywhere. So most of this information is already available to financial institutions anyway, right? So when you open up an account, you got to give them this kind of information already. So, but they'll be able to access and compare with their records and help Treasury to help FinCEN to, actually verify what's going on in a particular account or a particular company. And then finally, there are other regulatory agencies that supervise or look at, evaluate financial institutions might also get this. Now, the other piece of this, though, is the beneficial ownership information, BOI. So what that is the beneficial owner of a reporting company is an individual, I'm reading this because you should get it completely right.
Reiterate a little bit of what I said, but we need to repeat this, yes.
Yeah, no, this is really the critical part. And this is the part that if there's anything controversial about this other than failing to file, which is going to be the real bear.
That's right.
The beneficial owner is an individual. It's got to be a person. It's not a company. It's not a corporate owner. It's not a shell company. You got to find a identifiable person. Okay, directly or indirectly exercises substantial control over the reporting company, or owns or controls at least 25% of the reporting company's ownership interests. So depending on the type of entity, that can be, there's 2 or 3 people or more who might be identifiable. And there's some real interesting cases. What if you have a group of people going together, 10 or 15 investors go together and they put capital in and they each get 20 people go together and put in $1 million and they form a $20 million fund under a company name. Each has a 5% ownership interest in the company from the investment capital, but none of them have the 25% that's required. Okay, so they don't qualify on that, and they exercise substantial control over the reporting company. They may well have a board. Let's say they have 6 people who are on the board, or 7 people, so they have a tiebreaker. And they select, say it's a real estate investment trust, and they select properties for the group to invest in, take a vote. The management group says yes, sends it out. They got to get a quorum of the whole group to buy or sell a piece of property at a specific price. Just as simple as a really simple type of business that is going on all the time. Nobody is exercising substantial control because it's a group activity. Those kind of cases, they'll kind of say, well, then the company's got to offer somebody up to be the beneficial owner for the purposes of this, is basically what they're going to, the position that FinCEN will take. And so they have to be individuals. And what they're asking for is, one second. I'm trying to look because the actual beneficial ownership information that's reported for the people, it's their individual name, their address, and you have to have a tax a number from a identification document, passport or driver's license.
Okay.
You also have to supply not only that number but a copy of the actual document, so that FinCEN can then go ahead and actually identify an individual and have them shown the name.
Well, we got about 3 minutes left on this, and there's a lot of information. So we're going to have to skim over a couple things here, because what companies, for instance, would be required in this, it says here, Jim, pretty much domestic reporting companies, foreign reporting companies, there are 23 entities that are exempt. Now, we don't have to sit here and list all 23, but we can give everyone a link to get more information on this. It's FinCEN's Small Entity Compliance Guide for all this that we're talking about. Well, I recommend you kind of go online and you take a look at this. So there's several things that you would need to know. The information sounds kind of basic. Is a sole proprietorship a reporting company? Who's the beneficial owner of a reporting company, like you just said? And what information? You just wrap that up for us, Jim. Who can be held liable for violating the BOI reporting requirements?
And if you really want to follow up, I've been saying FinCEN because it's FinCEN, FinCEN, .gov, .gov. So it's a government website. You go there and look for the BOI filing.
Yep.
And bam, you get that. And that small entity guide it's 60 pages. It gives you all these cases, all of the information you could possibly want about this.
Yeah.
Answers, it's like a huge FAQ. It's just, it's just all the
it is.
You want about.
I could have pulled out 15 pages on this thing, but we're just about out of time. But the thing is, I would go back to what I said originally. Say, look, it's not that painful.
No.
It's basic information. You will be fined $500 a day if you do not.
At first, maybe not will be, but you certainly can.
You can be. I mean, just look at it that way. Just worst case scenario, they could discover that you haven't and start fining you $500 per day to do this. So, I mean, I'm going to make sure that we are. I mean, Braumiller Law Group, Braumiller Consulting Group, have we done this? I don't know. It's the first I've heard of it.
Well, there you go. And I'm just trying to alert people because I realized I got my notice about it for one of my LLCs that, I was mentioning. I have one. So, I got a notice saying, hey, you got to do your filing. And I looked it over and I looked at mine, and there is an exemption for inactive company entities. But if you're doing more than $1,000 worth of business through your bank account in any given year, you're not inactive. So unless you're not doing any business with it, and it's just, sitting to the side and you technically got a company that's not doing anything, that's an inactive entity. You don't really have to worry. Other than that, everybody except there's big financial companies don't have securities trading.
Right. I read that. Yeah.
They don't have to file because they're already regulated up the wazoo. But everybody else, all commercial companies have to file. Walmart's got to file just like Joe's tax service has got to file. I mean, we all got to file this, and we need to pay attention. They're going to be probably get serious about enforcement over the next year after this goes into effect, and all the basic really start going after people and saying, you haven't reported, you're liable for fines. We're coming to get you unless you file right now.
I'll ping at our CPA as soon as we get off this call. But hey, we appreciate you bringing this to everyone's attention. I mean, sorry to those who already knew this, but a lot of you probably didn't.
Yep.
So it's just big brother looking over our shoulder. It's just to stop fraud and bad actors primarily. That's really what it's about.
Right. Exactly. Okay. And there's just so many companies going out.
Oh my God. Yes.
Aren't reporting, avoiding taxes. There's all kinds of reasons why they want to do this.
Shell companies, whatever, all that stuff. They're coming for you.
Hello.
So we are out of time.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, man. And thanks for everyone stopping by to listen to this dissertation on this BOI. All right. See you next time. Thanks.